because they were dying of malaria and yellow fever to the extent the coastal line was termed to be the white man's prison. When they got in also, they could not stay with them. So governors, soldiers, British kept on abusing the women sexually. Now when the governor, all because of these issues, he stood up on the balcony. He ordered the women to be yes, and the one chosen could have stayed in the dungeons for a moment, never cleaned her feet, never took the bath, gone through menses sometimes. And still the governor wanted. So the soldiers had a responsibility of making sure the woman was washed. How did they do it? They fetched water from here. They washed the woman at the front of the bring her from the dungeons to this pool.
So what? It's a reservoir. Okay.
Yes, the woman was taken to the governor. After the governor had used her, she was brought back to the dungeons. Sometimes they would even tell you that before she got back, she could have been used, as some other guys also. Very few of them became mistresses and they stayed long. And those who became pregnant were subsequently freed or liberated. We need to understand they came not only from today's what is known to be Ghana alone, but also from today's Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, all of them. So when the woman was finally free, she could not go back to where she came from. Secondly, the Europeans never wanted their ladies to go anyhow. So houses were built here in town where those found pregnant were kept. When they delivered, the kids were brought back to the castle and they were educated. But sadly, these ones were educated just to be used as a bridge between the Africans and the Europeans. So invariably, they became the outstretched arm in the African communities. And they gave names to their kids also. So that was the beginning of the European names. In the Omina, we talk about Acosta, Asilva, Didier, Atchison, Peterson,
Emma Bangwe, you remember Jansubo, you couldn't even cook you. You couldn't even cook Emma when you knew. Me, go get on so many Macadas of me. That's a way of Beneca, pay one way. A work structure is lay, a work structure is lay. Eh?
My back only 400.
So I'm going to my one.
Now, it has always been the case that when people come to those things, the first thing you see them do will be to recover their uses. Yes, but the truth is that no matter how bad the case is, there's nothing to be compared to what was happening. Where we are standing was the largest of the dungeons for the women. And we're talking of 100 to 150 in this small space. You look at the floor as hard as it is. They were packed or were sleeping. They were given food and water once, twice in a day, a very little just to keep them alive. A month or two, they were held in here and mostly allowed out when the governor was going to pick one to be used. Over a year or so, they were not allowed to wash them. The women had to go through the menses and yet be sleeping. That hole over there, among others, was for ventilation. Unfortunately, this was connected to a place they called magazine where they kept ammunition. So whenever there was any leakage, the fumes came straight to the dungeon. And Weston already passed it. Here they gave them 2 containers or receptacles. One was placed at the corners where they were expected to go to ease themselves or go to the toilet into them. But they talk about the fact that during the 2nd month, they themselves became very weak, such that some, if not most, were unable to move from where they were to where the containers were to do it into them. So practically, they had everything on the floor in this place. So they had a feces, urine, vomit, menstrual blood. And they had to sleep in it and eat from the same place. The question is this. The trade was evil, but if the idea ultimately was profit, then why let them die? Get all of them, they get all the profits. Sadly, that was not the case. And if you pursue this question, chances are you will never get any definite answer. There will be several suggestions, and two of them you will get normally will be the fact that one, they were too strong to be controlled, so they wanted to be sure at all times they were weak, they couldn't fight back. And to kind of justifying that, they developed another mentality that only those who could survive this were the strong ones who could then work. So it became a kind of a natural process of eliminating the weak ones. And by so doing, they were dying. All those who died in here were thrown into the sea. As we go on with it, wherever you see bars like this, ought to tell you that in the past we had bars there. And wherever we see opening like that, we had a gate or a door at the time. But what you see now are not the original ones. And when we get to a point and it's original, I'll point it out.
He was a member of the West African Royal Force. He was a member. That
police college.
This was built by the Portuguese. Rainwater was used to fill it.
Okay.
So the pipes to the roofs, and when it rained, water collected. When the Dutch came in, they wouldn't trust the Portuguese. What if they poisoned us? So they stopped using this and had a bigger one built in the main courtyard. But then sadly, when the same Dutch guy who was thinking this could be poisoned picked the woman to be used, then the water to him poisoned was then good enough to clean the room. Today we're not using this also, but it's been proven water in there was not poisoned. They were just kidding. There are several things in the castle we can say they are original, but even these original ones have been plastered and painted on several occasions. So one thing that we can vouch to be as original as the Portuguese had it are the underlying bricks.
walls.
These ones are original from the Dutch, from the Portuguese.
Now, I want to ask you a question.
Nobody knows.
Do we say the Portuguese